Who's got it better than us?
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Join Scotty G coming up today from noon to 3 at Tim Daly Mazda and Sandy, 10785 South Auto Mall Drive. That was fun helping Connor. I wonder how it's going to go.
B, we're going to check in with him post-wedding, so he's going to come back. That was the first half of this two-movie release. Be nice to the bride, especially if you don't know her very well. The one thing if your friend was the bride and you were teasing her, your friend's wife now coming into this friend group, be extra nice to her. That's the advice.
Or just pour it on. I mean, just clown
just hammer her.
Just
embarrass her.
Make it a roast.
Yeah. Talk about how much you liked his ex-girlfriend.
You know, I don't know you well, but I'm pretty glad about that. You seem unpleasant.
Connor stopped. What was his name? What's his friend's name?
Kyle?
Kyle stopped coming around when you showed up. And that's the best thing that ever happened to us.
I don't even know why I'm here.
I don't know why I'm here.
All right, well, let's play this Rusty Westbrook sound. And I'm extremely happy I haven't heard it, so I'm going in fresh.
Last night, after another Kings loss, they lost to the Pelicans, which is good for the Jazz, but Russell Westbrook was asked, how's he doing? How are things? And did not like it.
All right.
What y'all think, though? Because y'all got a lot of answers and y'all always be talking. Oh, it's very interesting. You guys have a lot of opinions about how we do what we're doing. What you got? No, you. Yeah, you make a lot of statements and broad statements that you have no context. So where do you get your context from? Are you in practice? Are you at our film session? Are you anywhere around the building? No, I haven't seen you at practice. So the false context of, and actually, do you know me? I know you. No, you don't know me. You don't know me. You don't know me. But you make a lot of comments as though you do know me. No, you don't. My intent, I see it. But I'm asking you now, but you don't know me, right? So you don't know anything about me. Not you personally. Thank you. That's good. Anybody else? You guys have any comments about how we play, what we doing? You guys are quiet today, but you guys have a lot of comments when the game's going on, and after the game, what we doing, what we should be doing, how we should be doing it. I'm confused. Oh, let me hear. You must have been in our film session too.
I'm not in your film session, but you guys have the worst record in the NBA.
Cool.
You guys have been bottom 3 in offense and defense throughout the year.
Perfect.
So, I mean, I think that's fair to...
What's fair?
It's fair to point that out.
That's been pointed out, but that's not the only thing that's been talked about. What else is to point out?
Well, I can only speak for myself. But
yeah, but that's not the only thing you say. I've seen things you say. It's not just about our offense and our defense and what our record is. We've been the worst record for a long time now.
What have I said?
I don't want to go down the route, but I mean, we can. I'm asking you. You have a lot of things to say, so this is your time. This is the floor to say it. This is the time.
I just think in sports when
it's the time.
teams don't have success,
right?
They're up for
you think that we should have success, right? Do you feel that way? I mean, a lot of you guys feel,
success.
Huh?
That you should have success?
Yeah.
I think you guys are trying to have success, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good. What about you? What you think?
I think it's been a rough year for everybody.
Yeah.
And, I mean, as somebody who's covered the league for a long time and this team for a long time, this is by far the worst season I've seen.
Yeah.
So it goes on like that? Like that. Hilarious.
Like that?
Reminds me when old Rusty went after Napoleon. You remember that one?
I do. Yeah, this has always been Russ's reputation.
Listen, my reaction to this is always, why on earth, if you're Rusty Westbrook, are you listening to them?
Yeah.
Just answer the question and move on with your life. Why do you know what that teenager is saying? Why do you even know? By the way, I kind of admire that guy because he was standing up for himself. But
yeah, absolutely, nothing wrong with that.
But the voice cracking.
Yeah, poor timing on the voice cracking.
Mr. Westbrook.
It is.
Your team is terrible.
And look, it's a weird setup. You know, this was not a stand-up. This was Russ at the podium, so he's already elevated 5 feet, and then he's in a position of authority because he is the player. And he does have a much louder microphone than you. So there are some funny kind of dynamics here at play, which Russ can talk at a normal voice and be loud, and you have to kind of talk louder to be heard, and it does throw your voice off. It's why a lot of reporters don't like hearing their voices in replay, just as an aside. But yeah, I am curious why Russ is all of a sudden offended by this.
Okay, here's where I'll defend him just a little bit. And I don't know the dynamic of that other reporter that he was talking about, but there is a thing in media where they act overly familiar. And Russell Westbrook is saying, like, you have no idea who I am.
Correct.
And I'm sure that guy was running around talking like he and Rusty are best friends. And that is there are people in the media that do that. And
the word he uses that I do like from Russ, and there's not a lot I like from Russ in this conversation, is intent. You like to describe my intent. We don't actually know what players' intent is. And I try to avoid writing about that. And I'm not defending myself against Russell Westbrook. The Kings are a joke, and Russ is a part of it. But we hammered them when they signed Russ because it didn't make any sense when they did it in the first place because we knew this was going to be the result.
Yeah.
But they also have a bozo head coach and who doesn't know what he's doing because he can't fix it. And I get they're trying to be bad and they're succeeding in being bad. That's the actual intent of the team. So again, we've talked about how inauthentic it is to almost criticize the Jazz right now. They're doing what they're intending. The Jazz are intending to be the worst basketball team they can to get a high draft pick. Trying to analyze that as player intent, I do think it's difficult. So in that sense, they are right. Russ is right. You don't know my intent. You don't know what the intent of the team is, et cetera, et cetera.
But media project all sorts of stuff.
They do, absolutely.
That happens all the time. That's
No
why I
question
don't
about
think Rusty should care. I don't understand why they care so much.
I agree. And then being mad of I don't see you in practice with the film sessions. It's correct. I'm not welcome there.
Nobody's allowed.
Nobody can go in there. So no, you don't get to say that that's a problem. I don't get to be there. This is the relationship you have designed. Guess what? We will take as many players as we can all the time. You want to come on the radio? Come be available. Come talk to us. Let us get to know you. We would love that. That makes our job easier, better, and more enjoyable. But they don't want to do that either.
Well, I think
so. Criticizing a reporter for that is silly from Russ.
Well, I think what athletes and others don't understand is that our job, and not everybody's, but our job in specific, just radio bozos, is we've got to have an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Our airtime where we have to have an opinion does not change based on how much or how less or little the availability is, right? So for you to say, well, you don't see any of this stuff, so you don't know what you're talking about, it's like, yeah, but I still have to have an opinion.
Correct. Yeah, that doesn't change my job.
That doesn't change the fact that I still have to take the information that I have and form it into an opinion. It's why so many people lean on stats all the time. It's because it's a way to justify whatever it is that your opinion that you have that you still have to have.
Yeah.
We cannot pop on the mic and just read dry transcripts from Jazz press conferences. We have to be engaging with listeners and have an opinion and be entertaining. And that doesn't change at all based on how much or how little you give us. So if you want media to be more informed, well, you can easily fix that.
Agreed.
If you want that reporter's opinions to get better, and the problem is that he doesn't know you, maybe you should introduce yourself if that's truly the problem.
Correct. And there are ways to do it.
Or you could just not care because that guy's opinion doesn't matter. Is that guy your general manager?
Right.
Then his opinion doesn't matter. Why do you care?
Yeah.
I never understood why Rudy Googled his name every day. I never understood that. Why would you?
But every player does. I mean, again, Kyle Anderson confronted me in the locker room about something I said about Ace Bailey. What? You've been in the league for 20 years now, Kyle. I mean, 15 years. And there's nothing wrong with standing up for your teammates, but that wasn't even standing up for his teammate. It was just that there is some vanity there, and that is the vanity that is still hurting you even 15 years in the league, Russ 18 years in the league, however long he's been around, a Lock Hall of Famer, that it's not helping them. It's not serving them.
But when this sort of thing happens, when people go after media or whatever, it actually makes me question whether you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because if you knew what you were talking about, you certainly would disregard an opinion to the contrary.
Well, look, there is a faction of fans that always think the media is the enemy or an idiot or, doesn't know anything about what they're talking about. And generally, I would tell you, is they're pretty well informed. They do know what's going on behind the scenes, probably even better than they reveal at times. So
they're not experts, though.
But
and
no,
that's
of course
what,
not.
That's what the word Draymond Green
information.
used.
They're absolutely right. And there is limited information. So there are going to be fans that like what Russ said overall because there's always a demographic that will because they think the media is the enemy or whoever covers the team is an idiot. But I also don't think Russ helped himself here. I don't think Russ made any friends here. And he's on his way out the door. This is his 7th team in 7 seasons, and there's a reason for that.
I don't get why he'd waste his time.
I'm totally with you. I'm totally
Or
with you.
waste his energy. Who cares? Just sit there and answer the question and then go about your personal life, which he knows nothing about.
Yeah.
All right, stay tuned. Cole Bagley coming up next, NHL trade deadline day, and we'll ask him, too, about the Mammoth. He was in Philly for last night's win. That's straight ahead here on Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're teaming up with Beehive Meals, honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contests. Then listen every Thursday to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Our next guest's appearance on the show is brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. He covers the Mammoth for KSLSports.com. He's our buddy Cole Bagley. Hello, Cole.
How are we doing, guys?
Doing terrific. Before we talk about the big trade, let's talk about what happened last night. I thought that was a very impressive win, and probably among the turmoil and shorthanded without Sergachev, I thought they played extremely well.
Yeah, no, they did. Since this road trip started, it feels like they really took that loss to Chicago as a, kind of a learning moment. They allowed it to sting. They allowed it to motivate them to go on this 5-game trip and, pick up as many wins as possible. And that's what they need to do, right? You can't talk about, wanting to make a playoff push and secure a spot without locking things down and changing your mentality. And that's exactly what we saw, for, I think, the entire roster. You look at the forwards, they played a really sound game offensively. They were opportunistic. They were getting pucks in deep. They were winning battles. They were taking advantage of they continue to take advantage of power play opportunities. Clayton Keller scored a beautiful goal on the breakaway. And then defensively, they just really didn't allow the Flyers to get set up, right? They only allowed 16 shots, and, Vitek Vanacek made the most of his first opportunity between the pipes in about 6 weeks to lock it down, posted a shutout. So, yeah, I think as a group, this team, their kind of their entire mentality is right where it should be.
Eager to get your take on the big trade.
Yeah, I think Mackenzie Weegar is a good, really good defenseman, veteran defenseman who they got for great value. I know there was a lot of people that were concerned about the number of picks that they gave up, but look, kind of similar to the NBA, maybe not quite as extreme, but you get into the second round and it's just a lot harder to find good players. And for Utah, they already have more prospects that they can even sign, so those picks were essentially worthless. To that team, and they still have 7 selections to make in 2026, including their first rounder. So, yeah, I think not that Utah was necessarily lacking on their blue line, but if you can go out and you can bolster it just a little bit more, you can add more of a defensive-minded D-man that you can throw into your top 4. And what that does is it kind of balances things throughout all 3 lines. Not that the third pairing has been an issue, but the fact that, you're probably going to have to move Sean Durzi down from that top line. I don't imagine that they want to break up Nate Schmidt or John Marino. And so I would anticipate that you're probably going to see Ian Cole and Sean Durzi on that third pairing. And, that allows for some more offense throughout all 6 guys. So, yeah, I think it's a good trade. It helps add more veteran experience. And, just bolsters that blue line a little bit more.
Do you think they're done before the trade deadline?
It's kind of looking that way. It's been pretty quiet, and, I think the reasoning for that is not because of a lack of interest or, Utah being unwilling to try and go buy, but, this market right now is just so inflated. Teams are asking for, astronomical returns for, good players, but, Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon are not on the trade block, but the prices. If you look at the prices, you might think that they would be. So, there's about an hour and a half left until the deadline. I'm sure that they're pounding the phones, that they're trying to continue to improve the roster. But given the way that this market has gone, it wouldn't shock me if they're done, because you don't want to mortgage your entire future for just a good player. If you're going to do that, you want to be like the Minnesota Wild, who got arguably the second best defenseman in the world in Clint Hughes.
Cole Bagley is with us. He covers the Mammoth for KSLSports.com. So with this kind of new weapon going forward, what kind of close do you expect from the season?
Sorry, what was that?
What kind of close do you expect from the Mammoth? Do you expect it to be a kind of close, hard kind of thing, cinch up that one wild card?
Yeah. Like I was talking about earlier, Utah wants to be the team that, they want to do basically what the Blues did last year, where, you rack up a bunch of wins, you start to kind of run away with it, and, you shrink the amount of teams that are competing for a spot. You make it more of a one or two team race as opposed to a 4 or 5. And if they can continue to keep that mindset, if they can play their game most nights, if they can stay connected, if they can stay motivated, and then adding, Uyghur to that blue line, I think is going to help them. So, based on what we've seen so far on this road trip, the way that they've been able to kind of rebound and bounce back after that loss to Chicago, I think Mammoth fans should have a lot of hope that that they're going to see some playoff hockey here in the spring.
Cole, I'm trying to get a kind of macro understanding of how all this works in the NHL, and you talked about kind of these second round picks being almost worthless because they have so many young prospects. Taking this back to a little less than a year ago, when they win the lottery and they move up and they are able to draft a player like Caleb Desnoyers, how much did that change the future outlook of the team and kind of how they can build and elevate their ceiling when they already had, a Tija Ginla in their coffers? How did that change things for them?
Yeah, it just gives you, there's so many things they could do with that, right? I think, when you look at lottery picks, those are always going to be golden. Doesn't matter, how deep your prospect pool. If you can add another player like, Caleb Desnoyers to, your Cole Baudouins and your Tija Ginlas and your Semishevs and your Boots, that's always going to, put you on a strong trajectory. I talked to Bill Armstrong the other day, and what he told me is this is the deepest and most talented prospect pool that he's ever overseen during his tenure in the National Hockey League. And so, it just depends on what Utah wants to do with that. As I said before, they do have too many prospects. Not all of these guys are going to wear a Mammoth sweater. And so you kind of have to start to separate them in terms of, okay, which ones do we anticipate, are going to play for us eventually, and which ones do we maybe need to look at trades and, use them to their advantage, right? Not to say that, Desnoyers is one of those that's on the outside looking in, but there's certainly going to come a time where, they start to separate themselves. It could have been this deadline. It could be in the summer. It could be a year from now where, the writing's on the wall and they start to recognize, okay, let's just say, for example, that Ginla and another one of the prospects make the roster, to start next season. Then you're starting to look at, okay, well, which of these guys probably isn't, and, how can we use those players to our advantage, whether that is, betting on them or trading them, right? Those are the types of, opportunities that you have to seize. That's when, you get a little luck and, it gives you an asset to either utilize on your own team or to try and flip it for something else. So, yeah, it changes the trajectory because it just continues to kind of make the rich even richer for Utah, if you will. And, I think that this team is in a really good spot. Now, they're reaching that point. Bill Armstrong's reaching the point where these are probably the most challenging years in terms of trade deadlines and summers, because he does have to make those decisions as to who's going to stay with the team and who are they going to use as an asset to bring in somebody else.
Ben and I were talking about the standings earlier, and the Mammoth are 3 points better than the Kraken in the second wild card slot, and then 6 points better than San Jose, the Kings, and the Predators. Two-part question. How important is it that they stay out of the 2 slot to avoid Colorado? And what do you think about their cushion above the teams behind them?
Yeah, I think it's really important. If you look at, if you look at the two divisions, right? Colorado is far and away the best team in the National Hockey League, and Dallas isn't overly too far behind them, and then Minnesota is just 3 points behind the Stars. And then if you look at the Pacific, it's Vegas at 72 points, Anaheim at 71, and Edmonton at 68. And so if the playoffs started today, Utah would be facing the Vegas Golden Knights, who they're only 2 points behind. I really like Utah's chances to not just push the Knights to the brink, but I think if Utah was to face Vegas, or let's say Anaheim overcomes Vegas and takes that top spot in the Pacific, Utah could win a series against either of those teams. They've played them pretty well so far this season. And, those aren't teams where I look at similarly to Colorado or Dallas, where you go, all right, Utah's going to face those teams. At best, they're probably winning 2 games. I would really think that if Utah can maintain that top wild card spot, they have a chance to make the second round. I don't know where they would go beyond that, but I think it would be important, right? I mean, you don't want to just make the playoffs. If you can make the playoffs and gather as much experience as possible, if you can play 6, 7, 8 games and, win yourself a first-round series, that's obviously better than, jumping in and losing, 4 out of 6, and all of a sudden, your summer's already over. So I think it's really important in terms of the separation for themselves and all the teams below them. Yeah, I mean, they're 6 points ahead of San Jose, but San Jose has 3 games in hand. LA has a game in hand. And then, Seattle has a game in hand too. So for Utah, you just got to keep winning. You just got to keep pushing. You got to take every game as serious as a Game 7-like situation where, it's do or die. You got to pick up these points because, generally when it comes down the stretch, it's the teams that get in are the ones that can put together a really nice 10, 11, 12-game stretch where they're winning the vast majority of those and giving themselves a little bit of a buffer and some breathing rooms. So if they do hit a 2 or 3 game slide, that they're still well in position and they're not having to wait till the final day to try to get in.
How difficult is the rest of the season? How's the schedule look?
It's fairly favorable. It's not going to be easy by any means, but I think they have one of the more favorable schedules in the National Hockey League. They've played a lot of the top teams already. They get to play Chicago twice more, and obviously they just lost to Chicago earlier this last week. But that wasn't Utah. A lot of the guys have said that wasn't us, and they used it as a wake-up call. So that's advantageous. You're going to play one of the lower teams in the West who has actually just made a couple of trades. So they're going to be hurting for talent here coming down the stretch. And the runway is there. Utah has every opportunity. They have every chance to get in. It's just going to be on themselves. It's going to be, do they decide, to play the 20 remaining games, as similarly as possible? Can they play their game, 80 or 90% of those nights and try to pick up, 13 or 14 more wins to make sure that they do in fact get in?
Cole, we appreciate you and all your great work. We'll be following along, as always, at KSLSports.com. Thanks, buddy.
Cole.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. That is Cole Bagley. He thinks they can beat the Golden Knights if they stay in that slot.
Yeah, a couple of points difference. We'll see. There's some experience that the Golden Knights have that the Mammoth don't as an entire roster, though several players have hoisted the cup themselves. So excited. It'll be a fun final 19 games.
All right, we wrap up the show. Coming up next, stay tuned. Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
1, 2, 3, move it.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two niggas on the airways, talking sports. They got it made, Jake's and also loves this tie-dye. Ben's got style with his star. Oh my. From the islands to the basketball courts, they bring the
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake, Scott, Ben Anderson. Thanks to Cole Bagley for jumping on. Want to remind you, JJ and Alex are going to be hanging out with the good folks from Advanced Windows today from 3 to 6 at the Home Show at Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. Go hang out with those guys and check it out. Home Show is always cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
I remember when we were looking at our renovation, we started, for the most part, at the Home Show because you could find literally anything.
Yeah.
If you're looking for anything, including windows, of course, that have to do with your home, you can find it at the Home Show.
Do you expect more of this from Ace Bagley? 32 points last night. Is that going to be his season high?
No. Will it be a season high? I wouldn't predict that necessarily, but I don't know. We're not going to see anything consistently from Ace Bailey.
No, we're not.
No, I don't. I'm not going to put a lid on him and say that he can't do it again. But are we going to see it consistently, like you implied in your tweet when you jinxed him for having 20 points? No, we're not.
I agree with you. I don't think he may not get to 30 again. 30's hard. 30's a lot of points, but he does have the ability to do it. Clearly, he showed it last night. I don't know if the Jazz are going to play another team as bad as the Wizards were last night. Wizards wanted to lose that game too, and the Jazz weren't able to do it. I do think it's important to remember, and it gets overshadowed a little bit because both Cooper Flagg and Jeremiah Fears in last year's draft, both lottery picks, reclassified from their junior year to their senior year of high school so they could get to college early. They are both very, very young. They're a year ahead of everybody else. Ace is still younger than some of the freshmen in college this year. There are guys that are going to be drafted in this year's lottery, Caleb Wilson specifically from North Carolina, who is older than Ace Bailey is. Still college freshman, older than Ace. Like he's still shockingly young, even compared to most rookie players.
Yeah.
So the idea of like looking for consistency, it's like he doesn't have the human tools probably yet to be consistent. And he's still, I think, been very good.
Few rookies are consistent. It's
Right.
just a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect from him. Plus, the team's trying to lose.
Yeah. Again, to the Russell Westbrook, you don't know what the intent is. I do agree. The trying to draw intent or criticize the Kings for what they've done this year, this is part of their plan. Now, do I have any faith that the Kings can take the next step in the right direction? I do not. I don't think the Kings are going to be able to fix this. But, yeah, the idea of trying to hammer them for what they're putting on the court right now, then they're not trying to put anything on the court.
Well, do you think Rusty's feelings are just hurt that their ticket to lose is playing him?
It is not a great sign. And that when he didn't play, they did beat Dallas.
Do you know how many minutes he played last night?
I think this is the big complaint from people in Sacramento. I don't follow the Kings particularly closely, but I think he leads them in minutes most nights.
Because he's helping them lose.
Yes.
And has been that type of player for a while.
Yeah.
And that probably hurts his feelings, I'm guessing.
Correct. And people are pointing it out.
Because slow-mo, and the more you think of Kyle Anderson's comments, it was when he was talking about the Jazz, is they're really interesting. Slow-mo, who the Jazz were playing at center to intentionally lose, really did not like that role.
Correct.
Being the guy that plays
Like that?
Ben, if somebody said, we want to put a really crappy show from 10 to noon.
Right.
And you are the key.
We're going to submarine the show.
You are the key to our crappy show.
We're trying to really make a move. So we're teaming you with this guy who's proven, but you're the bad host. It's not a good feeling.
No, I'm sure it's terrible. Well, Kyle Anderson obviously didn't enjoy it. Yeah. And I would guess that Rusty doesn't either. And maybe he's a little sensitive over it. I could get that.
No question about it.
I can get on board. I think it was harmful for the Jazz to make Cody Williams the cooler last year.
Absolutely. And they did.
Yeah.
And good for Cody. He has bounced back. He's not a superstar by any means, but he didn't let that sink him.
He's functioning.
He's a better player today than he was a year ago.
The ideal way to do it is find the cooler that doesn't know that's what you're doing. Like Nurk.
You don't think Nurk knows?
No, I don't think Nurk knew.
The Nurk knows?
I don't think that beak knew. I still can't wait to see him after post surgery. He said that guy's the size of Nurk.
Face is totally different.
Totally different face. What happened to that guy? Thought he went in to get his snoring fixed. Came out looking like Clark Gable.
Yeah, you don't want to be the cooler.
You get your chin done too? No. And when you know you're the cooler, like Hot Dog had no idea he was the cooler. You know what I mean?
Correct. That's the best cooler the Jazz
Right.
have had. He didn't know it. And
Had
he
no
was
idea.
Obviously the cooler.
Just go in there and let Hot Dog eat.
Yeah.
I mean, I know how we can lose this one.
Hot dog eat hot dog.
Hey, Hot Dog, you're playing 35 tonight.
You're taking 35. You're getting 35. You're scoring 35.
And the good news about Hot Dog is he had the energy for 10.
Hot dog!
And so if you asked him to go 35,
Coach, you're killing me. Whatever it takes, though, pal.
whatever. Hey, keep going, Hot Dog. You got 30, bro.
Whatever you need, boss.
Yeah, you got to find the cooler that doesn't know he's the cooler. Kyle Anderson obviously knew he was the cooler. Rusty obviously knows he's the cooler.
It's going to be hard to be in Sacramento and also know that they're going to fire your coach. Like, they can't bring Doug Christie back.
Sure they can. It's Sacramento.
Yeah, you're right. It would be one thing if they were Ty Corbining him and they just said, well, this is your last year and we're going to fire you because it's so bad, which I do think they will do. I mean, the best thing they could do is get their draft pick, hope it's in the top 3, get one of DeBonsa, Peterson, or Boozer, and clean house entirely and start all the way over. But they don't make those good decisions.
Do you remember Luke Walton was the assistant for Golden State when Steve Kerr was out with his back problems. And Golden State was still Golden State even though Steve Kerr wasn't there. The next season, the Lakers said, hey, we liked Luke Walton.
Yeah.
Wonder if this dude's a wonderkind. And then I think he was the coach of the Lakers for a season?
Not very long. Might have been 2, but it wasn't long.
The Kings looked at that and said,
but it might work for us.
Give me that coach. Who else? We should look at the cavalcade of bozos the Kings have gone through over the last 10 years. The last 15 years. Pretty much post Rick Adelman.
For coaches?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's been ugly.
And they even had I don't know, are we willing to call Mike Malone a good coach? I think we can throw him into that category. They had even a good coach, and they fired him.
Let's see. Here's their run of coaches. Doug Christie.
Yeah.
Mike Brown.
Okay.
Was fine.
He did a better job there than most.
Alvin Gentry.
Didn't do well.
Luke Walton.
Not a guy.
Dave Yeager.
Nope.
George Karl.
Oh, I forgot they dug George up.
Furious George.
Yeah.
Late in his career. You know who was right before George? Our guy, Ty Corbin.
Oh, yeah, they did. They hired Ty. Oh, he was interim.
And they had Michael Malone. Well, they fired Michael Malone and replaced him with Ty Corbin.
Well, again, interim. They didn't replace him.
Jeez, Keith Smart.
Keith Smart, yeah.
And Paul Westphal. Before that was former Jazz coach Kenny Natt.
Uh-huh.
Before that was Reggie Theus.
Yeah, Reg.
And then Musselman and Rick Adelman. So to your point.
And the Muscle Man was terrible there.
Musselman was 06 to 07. Reggie Theus 07 to 08. Kenny Natt 08 to 09. Paul Westphal 29 to 2012 or 09 to 2012. Keith Smart 12 to 13.
Real funny that Westphal got 3 seasons and we're like, oh, see?
Yeah,
There's a guy who stayed.
Corbin 14 to 15. Carl 15 to 16. Yeager 16 to 19. They really stuck it out with Dave Yeager.
That guy
19
is
to 21.
an unpleasant person by all accounts, if you've ever talked to anybody that knows him.
They haven't had a coach 200 games since. They haven't hired a coach that lasted 200 games since 1998.
Yeah, buddy.
Now, Rick Adelman lasted from 98 to 2006. He coached 600 games. But, man, they have not had anybody.
No, and they just keep moving on. I mean, in defense of all these bozos, none of them ever really had a chance.
Mike Brown did have a winning percentage of .550, which is really high. Everyone else is insanely low.
Kevin Johnson should have just let him move.
Yeah, go to Seattle or whatever you're doing.
Just go.
Fine, go to Vegas. I don't care.
Well, we've got the A's in our AAA stadium.
We'll be fine.
We'll be all right. Scotty G and friends coming up next. We will talk to you
Sean.
Monday. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.